Hola, it's Profe Levenguth. In this video, we're going to review a lesson that you learned in Spanish 1. You learned about direct object pronouns. They're actually very useful and they're used a lot by Spanish speakers. So it's important that we take notes today so that we can start applying, remembering how to use them, and also because we're going to see it as a second part of the Unit 2 grammar. Take good notes. Let's start with a reminder of what are direct objects. Then we'll go into what are direct object pronouns. The direct object answers the question, what, with regard to what the subject of the sentence is doing. For example, if we have the sentence, Bill washed the car. To find the direct object, you ask yourself, Bill washed what? Because the answer was the car. The car is the direct object. Often, it's desirable to replace the name of the direct object with a pronoun. This makes sentences a little bit easier, cleaner. Take a look at the example here. We have first a sentence without direct object pronouns, looking like this. Paul bought the surfboard. He took the surfboard home and gave the surfboard to his son. Notice how the direct object, surfboard, he bought what? Surfboard. He took what? Surfboard. Gave what? Surfboard. Is being repeated over and over. Now, we want to make this a little bit cleaner by replacing surfboard with the direct object pronoun. In English, we have it. So the sentence could look like this. Paul bought the surfboard. He took it home and gave it to his son. Let's take a moment now to make sure that we write down our direct object pronouns carefully, accurately, onto your notes in your paper. Now that you've written them down, let's make sure we talk about these pronouns that would replace the direct objects. Let's do an example in English using me. If Paul wrote me a letter, we're going to ask ourselves, in this case, not what, but who. Paul wrote who? Oh, come on. Kick, hit. Hola, it's Profe Levenguth. In this video, we're going to review direct object pronouns, a lesson that you learned in Spanish 1. Now, it's very important that we review it since it is something that Spanish speakers use a lot. And in our class, we're going to see more information being added next unit. Take good notes. Let's start with a reminder of what are direct objects. What are direct object pronouns? The direct object answers the question, what, with regard to what the subject of the sentence is doing. If we have a sentence, Bill washed the car. When you want to try to find the direct object, you ask yourself, what did Bill wash? Because the answer was the car. The car is the direct object. Often, it's desirable to replace the name of the direct object with a pronoun. Taking a look at the example, without a direct object pronoun, you would have a sentence that looks like this. Paul bought the surfboard. He took the surfboard home and gave the surfboard to his son. Notice how the surfboard keeps being repeated. These are all direct objects. Paul bought what? The surfboard. He took what? The surfboard. And he gave what? The surfboard. These are all direct objects. To make it cleaner, we can now replace some of the direct objects with a pronoun. In English, we have the word it. The sentence would look like this. Paul bought the surfboard. He took it home and gave it to his son. Now let's take a moment to write down the chart for Spanish direct object pronouns. Now that you're finished writing these down, let's look at some examples of uses using some of these English direct object pronouns. Here is the first example. In that case, we would use a direct object pronoun me or me because he hit me. Not a nice thing to do, but he hit who? He hit me, and so we're going to replace it with me, me. Then let's take a look at another one with us. Another not nice thing to do, but he hit us, and so we're going to make sure that we use the direct object pronoun nos, us. Let's take a look at how do we use direct object pronouns? What are the rules that we must follow? Rule number 1, you must place the pronouns directly in front of the verb. Rule number 2, when using lo, la, los, and las, the pronoun must agree with the noun in gender and number. Here are some examples for us to look at replacing with direct object pronouns. If the sentence was, she bought the helmet, you say she bought what? The helmet gets replaced with lo because it's singular masculine. You put lo in front of compró, and that's how you get ella lo compró. Take a look at the other examples. And one more note already printed in your copy. You must remember that you must use the a personal before a direct object when it is a person. So if we want to say, I invited Carlos, I invited who? Carlos. In Spanish, you have to use the letter a, the word a. It's called a personal a. Invité a Carlos. Now, let's take a look at some examples. You're welcome to write these down in your copy, or you're welcome to create your own. If somebody was asking profe, ¿barriste el suelo ayer? What would be her response? Using a direct object pronoun. That's right. It would be sí, lo barrí. Because el suelo is masculine singular, and she doesn't want to say, yes, I swept the floor. She just wants to say, yes, I swept it. El suelo gets replaced with lo being placed in front of barrí. Another question. Someone asked, profe, ¿regabas las plantas todos los días? She doesn't want to say that, yes, I used to water the plants. She just wants to say, yes, I used to water them. So what would be the direct object pronoun? It would be sí, las regaba. One more example. Someone asked Profe, do you wash clothes a lot? Now, in this case, we're using it, the clothing, being replaced with the direct object pronoun, la. So your answer would look like this. Sí, la lavo todos los días. We're done with this review. Good job taking good notes. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're applying them tomorrow in class. Adios.